It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call shots. Todd, are you ready to kick names and take ass?
Still funny to me.
I think it's just the phraseology of take ass. It's just funny.
This is the part that is the main part that made me laugh, because I was just like, all right, that was good.
Does Avengers Infinity War really need any sort of introduction, Todd? This is kind of... Is this the biggest movie that we've ever, reviewed on an episode of Shots?
Probably.
It's bigger than Justice League, just in its first opening weekend.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Well, I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, well, neither am I, but yeah, Infinity War literally made more than Justice League's entire run in its opening weekend.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny too, because we'll get into it. If you've never listened to an episode of Shots before, we review movies. The way we kind of do it is the first few minutes we kind of give our spoiler-free impressions, and then we're going to get into heavy spoilers. Now, if you're one of those people that you haven't seen Infinity War yet and you're very sensitive to spoilers, literally, why are you even listening to this? So we're not going to spoil anything. We're going to make a clear kind of spoiler warning and then get into the actual spoiler-filled conversation. So Todd, Avengers Infinity War, biggest movie of all time, biggest opening weekend of all time. What are your non-spoilery thoughts?
See, I'm going to say it off the bat, I like it way more than you do. So...
I know that.
Overall, I think it's still, in my eyes, it's still a good movie. I think it does what it was trying to do. And... it does have its flaws that we'll get into later on, but overall, I think it's a good movie worth watching, and that's kind of all I have to say about it without jumping into spoilers.
It's 100%. I think there's more to talk about than that, but there's it is 100% worth watching. I'm not gonna, it's I'm always in this weird place where and maybe it just stems from anxiety or something, but I feel like whenever I criticize a movie, whenever I criticize a movie, I feel like I'm shitting on it, and I'm not. I'm not going to shit on Infinity War.
It's again, that's kind of how people think. That's how people think I feel about Dark Souls 2. People think I hate that game. I don't hate it. I just criticize the shit out of it.
Yeah, I'm not here to sugarcoat stuff and lie about the way I feel about it, Yeah. But my big issue with and I know I'm going to have the unpopular opinion of Infinity War, because everybody's ejaculating everywhere and acting like it's the second coming of Christ. And I like the movie a lot. I think the movie does a lot of things really, really right, and I'm glad it exists. But at the end of the day, and I made this comment, and I'm going to dance around this as much as I can, because I want to give people a little more meat to chew on before we get into the spoiler section.
Yeah.
Just in case there's the fan out there that wants to listen without hearing spoilers. The movie ends on an extreme down note and a huge cliffhanger. And there's no arguing that, I don't think. I don't think anybody can argue that is a textbook cliffhanger and a total down note.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
The problem with that, and we'll get into more detail with this, I think that's kind of the narrative about this movie between people who like it and people who don't like it, is that the down note that this movie ends on is not something that carries a lot of weight for a lot of people. That's sort of what I think your ability as the viewer to buy that moment at the end, the way that the movie ends, if you buy that, you're good. And if you don't, you're going to come away with a little bit of a weird taste in your mouth. And I think that's kind of where I fall in it. I don't think that I don't think that the movie's ending is super effective. I think there's a lot of great things that lead up to it, but I think that ultimately I came away from the movie feeling a little bit hollow, because while I had a great time in the moment, and I think the action is great, and I think there are great character moments, and I think it's well written and stuff like that in terms of like its dialogue, like the actual sum of its parts left me feeling a little bit empty. I was just kind of like, all right, that was a thing, that happened, and I watched it, and I don't know. I just sort of like, I couldn't help but shake the feeling that when I walked out, I saw it with a group of friends that I played D&D with, and when we walked out of the theater and we were all kind of standing in front of the theater, kind of talking about our thoughts on the movie, it was kind of split down the middle. Like two of us were really like into it, and then the other two of us were kind of like bummed out by it, and I kind of interjected with the comment that I think is really apt. I can't help but shake the feeling that this is how people must have felt when Empire Strikes Back came out, and people saw that in theaters.
Yeah, and you told me that before I actually saw it, and when I got to the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, I can agree with that.
Because just think about it. Like, imagine like you're a big fan of Star Wars. You saw the first Star Wars: A New Hope. You're super into it. You go to see an Empire Strikes Back, and like it's a great fucking classic movie. But then the way it ends, Han's in carbonite. You know what I mean? Like fucking Luke gets his hand cut off. It's the big reveal with Darth Vader being Luke's father, and it's all just a fucking huge down note. And you're left with that for a long time until you have context in Return of the Jedi, and that's how I feel Infinity War is. I feel like this is the Empire Strikes Back sort of vibe where it's like, fuck, like maybe when the second one comes out next year, but
the thing is, I think that's kind of the point of Infinity War.
That's fair, and I think that's the point too, but I also think that the movie should be allowed to stand up on its own better than it does. The difference is and here's, I'm going to compare and contrast the difference between Infinity War and something like The Empire Strikes Back is that Empire actually has significant moments of character growth within it. Like, even though it is the middle child, it's like I said, with the head and the legs chopped off, even though it has the disadvantage of being the clear middle child, just like Infinity War does, the difference is that it has these moments of growth, and it tells its own individual story, despite the fact that it has the beginning and the end lopped off of it.
Yeah.
Like, we have the moments of growth with Han and Luke and stuff like that, and it all ends on the down note that it does, but at least getting there was a significant moment for the characters. And the thing about Infinity War that really bums me out is, with the exception of maybe, like, I don't even know, most of the characters here, this is based on 18 movies, 10 years of movies leading up to this moment, and within the context of the movie itself, not a lot really happens with the characters. This all feels like, this entire movie feels like one big setup movie, and that's fine. Like, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but when you're ramping up to this enormous event, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that this take on this sort of game plan is a bad game plan. I'm just saying that it disappointed me. Like,
yeah.
Like, I just came away from that being like, okay, I guess that's what they're doing. And I understand that it's a huge task with all these fucking actors. I think there's literally like 26 actors in the movie or something like that.
Sounds about right.
And like all these plot points.
I think that is what it boils down to, dude. Like, I was able to look past that shit, and like it didn't like disappoint me.
Well, that's fine. Like your ability to look past it or whatever. Like, I can look past it too, to an extent, but like I can't really. I think a lot of the argument that's coming from a lot of Marvel fans is that like, oh, you should treat these movies like they're, serialized. This is like literally like a comic book. I'm like, okay, but like fucking Marvel isn't treating it like that. Like they're treating it like a very self-serious, dark, sort of thing. And yeah, it has humor and it has levity like all these Marvel movies do, and they're great. But like these movies aren't really treating themselves like they're, pulpy, serialized things. These movies are treating themselves like they're epic. You know what I mean? And like the Infinity Gauntlet is an epic, story. And
Yeah.
and I think that this one probably will too once both parts of it are out. But releasing it in two parts, I think, was kind of a mistake. And it makes the first part of it ultimately feel like a fucking waste of time. Like, I think that basically up until, and I've been dancing around spoilers as best I can, and we'll get into spoilers in a minute. But I think up until a very particular moment, the movie is doing the best it can. It's dancing as hard as it can, and it's doing a good job of it. And then once it gets to a particular moment, it's like, oh, well, fuck. Nothing from this point on matters, basically. Like, basically nothing from the last, like, 15 to 20 minutes of the movie matters. Like, every iota of that is going to be reversed. And we all know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think, again, I can't really criticize. I'm going to talk, about the good things the movie does. But I think the interesting discourse about this movie, and I'll give it this. I mean, look, love it or hate it, the movie is not cookie cutter. Like, they could have totally just went, all in on it being just a total, like, white bread, the Avengers win kind of thing. This is a movie where the Avengers don't win. This is a movie where the Avengers lose, And I think they sort of have to lose before they can win, and I appreciate that. But I almost wish that they had literally just put out, like, a 5-hour movie. Like, dead ass serious. I almost wish they had just done that.
I wouldn't have saw it. I have no 5 hours in a day for that shit.
I'm telling you, it still would have made $1 billion. Like, I just feel like releasing it in these two parts like this is going to, I don't know. I just feel like it's left a bad taste in some people's mouths. And of course, everybody's going to come back, and part 2 is going to be great, and we're all going to like it, and blah, blah, blah. But I just think that releasing it in two parts was a bit of a mistake. That's all. And, I got to respect them for doing what they're doing, and I got to like it, overall for the things that it does really well. It's really impressive. But, ultimately, I just walked out of the theater, just like I said, just feeling a little bit hollow. And I want to see it again. And I know that my opinion of it is only going to elevate when the second one comes out. I think this movie is going to be vastly improved by the sequel once we know everything in context. But right now, having just seen it, in its original theatrical run, I'm feeling like people must have felt when Empire came out. I'm feeling a little bummed, That's as much as I can say, I think, without getting into spoilers. I did my best. I got, 13 minutes in?
Yeah.
I did my best. I think now we have to move into spoiler territory. So
before we do, I want to just shout out so you've been kind of talking about it, but I want to just shout out the goddamn silence at the end of that movie.
Oh yeah, there's several moments incredible. Like that.
Like, just because normally every time I've seen a Marvel movie, people would just stand up and
right,
like clapping like assholes. There was no clapping, no standing, just sheer silence.
And I think that
except for me laughing at it.
I think that goes to show a lot of things, because like I said, the movie just ends on a down note, and I kind of love that it has the balls to do that. But I wish that it feels unearned, because again, we just know that everything about it is going to be backpedaled. Like it's really hard to say this without getting into spoilers. I
mean, here's the thing. We know that. Does the casual moviegoer know that?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah, well,
There's people that don't pay attention to a lot of shit.
no, I think that even people that don't pay attention know that the events of the end of this movie are going to be undone. There's no way. There's no way my mom and dad go and see the ending of Infinity War and think that any of that is going to stay permanent. You know what I mean? There's no way.
Funny if they
It's
did,
ridiculous. It's like, it's just so, and then like, you know, you say that, oh, the casual, you talk about, oh, the casual moviegoer. Is this movie for the fucking casual moviegoer? No, it's not. It's for the people.
God, no, it ain't.
No, it's for the people who have seen all 18 of these movies. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I think that's what a lot of Marvel fans try to do, and a lot of DC fans try to do too, where they try to say, oh, this movie's for the fans. Oh, but the casual audience. No, you can't have both. You can't have both. When you have 26 actors spanning 18 movies, you can't say this movie's not for the people who saw all those movies. Because it is.
You gotta have to have an understanding of the entire like cinematic universe at that point.
If you've missed most of these movies, like, you're not even going to give a fuck about most of the people. Like, if you, like, for example, if you didn't see Doctor Strange, and then you, like, come into Infinity War, and you're like, who the fuck are you? And why are you, like, a major part of this movie? You know what I mean? Like, I could totally see somebody having somehow missed Homecoming or Civil War or whatever and been like, wait, what? Spider-Man? You know? These movies are completely predicated on everything that came before. That's the best and worst thing about them, you know. Anyway, let's move into spoiler territory because I want to talk without the child locks on. So clear right here, spoiler warning. If you have not seen Infinity War, you've been safe up until this point. You are no longer safe. You are now in the danger zone. You are now within my horrible, horrible reach of my Infinity Gauntlet.
Be quiet.
Spoiler alert. So yeah, if you think for a second that somebody in that theater looks at Black Panther and Spider-Man turning into dust, and the biggest cash cows for Marvel right now, literally fading into dust, and they say, "Oh yeah, that's gonna stick." Shit, I guess they're dead forever now.
that can't joke around a little bit.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Now, since we're in the spoiler, I need to shout out one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Okay.
Hulk getting treated like a straight bitch.
Yeah, within the first like 5 minutes of this movie, and that's something that, and I should have mentioned this in the spoiler-free section, but something that this movie does absolutely nail is Thanos. Like, he's great, and Josh Brolin's great, and like the character, the way they've treated the character is great. And his motivations, you know, and everything. Like, everything about Thanos is great. And I've seen the argument online is, oh, the reason there's no character development is because it's really Thanos' movie. He's the only one that needs character development. And I don't think...
Yeah, that is something I've been saying. It's like, you know, this is like Thanos' journey. It's like his he's going like a hero's journey type shit.
That's
he's the
fine,
protagonist
but
of the movie.
Yeah, and he is, and I agree with that point, but I don't agree...
Yeah.
I don't agree that he's the only one that needs character development. You know what I mean? Like, with the exception of maybe Gamora, and like, I'm sorry, but like Gamora's death, like that whole scene was treated really well, and I really liked that. But why have we not? If this entire experience is predicated on the build-up and like everything leading up to it, why hasn't her past with Thanos been like harped on in such detail before? You know, like, why is it only now that we're getting a lot of that stuff? Like, why it would have been something if, you know, of course it's been mentioned before that she's the daughter of Thanos.
It's always been something that's just been like teased, like with like the conversations between like her and Nebula.
Yeah, it's always just been a passing mention until now when we actually
like,
get flashbacks and shit. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know, like I feel like the movie's trying to put like a lot in there, a lot of fluff and no substance. You know what I mean?
Well, I think again it boils down to how big the movie is. Like I feel like the movie would be way longer if you got the character development that you wanted.
And that's fine with me. I would happily take a much longer movie. How about this? How about you cut out all of the bullshit action sequences with fucking more gray things? Like, I'm so sick of that with super. Why does it always devolve into a huge action sequence with gray shit? Like,
You're talking about the Wakanda battle?
yeah, the Wakanda battle and shit like that. How about you just shave, I don't know, a lean 15 minutes off of that bullshit and then add in some character development instead? I would have taken, you could have cut, the Wakanda battle is cool. Like, all these action scenes are cool to look at, but, like, you could have cut that shit, 5-10 minutes and give me a little more cap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, I agree with you on the character development thing. I think I ended up liking that movie way more than you. The shit. I'll say that about the thing with the Wakanda battle is, like, honestly, the main part that I even enjoyed was when Thor joined that shit.
Yeah, and the Thor stuff is great, and the Stormbreaker stuff is
Yeah.
great, and, like, it's actually one of the few parts of the movie, like, that you get a little taste of that character development, and that even that
Yeah.
though is based on where he is at the end of Ragnarok, really. And
Yeah.
but once Thor kind of like is like, Thor is probably the best part in terms of actual like you're basically looking at this steak that is like 90% fat, and the only part that's actually meat is Thor, like the stuff that's happening with Thor, which is basically a side
Yeah.
mission, and the side mission is kind of the most worthwhile part of all of it, like,
Time to get the Thanos killer, basically.
yeah, and like it's cool because it's funny because one of my coworkers last night, we were trying to dance around the spoilers because Scotty hasn't seen it yet. So we were talking about it, and I was like, no, let's not get too in depth because Scotty hasn't seen it yet. And he pulls out his phone. He like wrote a little note really quickly with his finger on his phone and showed it to me, and it just said, "I'm so pissed at Star-Lord." And like that's such an accurate thing. I liked that for Star-Lord's character though, because like just how he acted in Guardians 2, like it proves that he does act on emotion rather than rationality.
Well, yeah, he's a hothead. He's hot-headed, man. Like, and it's just like, and I think in the, just finding out about like Gamora like that, it was understandable for his dumb ass to do that shit.
Yeah.
Was it dumb? Was it completely stupid? Yes.
But the interesting place that the interesting place that we're kind of leaving with like with the stuff happening with Doctor Strange, because like it is straight up foreshadowed by Doctor Strange earlier in the movie. He says, if it comes down to me saving the time stone and me saving your life, I'm going after the time stone and I'm going to let you die. And then later on in the movie, what happens? Iron Man gets stabbed and you think he's going to die, and Doctor Strange essentially trades the time stone for Tony's life, right?
And that right there is probably one of the more interesting parts, because I do want to see where that ends up going. Like, what's the deal?
Well, I think that's
Like,
a major crux of the next movie, right? I think that,
yeah,
because he mentions like, I've seen 14 million some odd circumstances, and there's only one in which we actually come out on top. And from what I'm assuming is that step there of everybody dying and of Tony living, that is a requirement of the winning scenario,
yeah.
And
like Tony needs to basically be alive.
like, that is a requirement for them to win, and that's the only reason Doctor Strange did it. He's playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
And what I really like is the way that this is all set up. I swear to God, this movie feels like that they set it up this way so that they can film most of part 2 with less actors. Like,
yeah, basically, without a doubt, dude. So in a way, like I didn't even realize it until you said it. Is like it's basically the original Avengers.
yeah, because now we basically have it set up to where it is the original team, Rocket
Plus,
Raccoon
like,
and Nebula.
Yep.
That's basically.
Rocket. I think I was the one that said that. I'm like, I think the only motherfuckers left from Guardians is Nebula and Rocket.
I think that's literally it. And then we have a couple people from Black Panther's world, like the guard lady in M'Baku.
I don't remember. I don't even remember her actual name. I just call her Michonne.
Yeah, I don't remember her actual name either, but she's survived or whatever. And like,
for some reason, I think it's Denai Guerra.
oh, the actress's name?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking about the character's
I don't
name.
remember the character name. I don't remember the character name at all.
But yeah, I think she's left. I think M'Baku is left.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, but again, very few people left. It's basically, this second movie is basically going to boil down to, I think, the kind of original core Avengers team kind of in a full circle moment figuring out how to kind of reclaim the past and go back and fix that mistake, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that everybody doesn't die this time and bring everybody back. And you know, for a final actual fight with Thanos in space. That just seems like that's the way it's going to go. And
yeah.
And that's going to be cool, and I think that's going to make part 1 better in context, but that's what I'm saying. Like, after I see part 2, I know that my opinion of part 1 is going to elevate. But I don't like the notion that you have to have both parts. Like, on one hand, I think it's a little bit unfair to compare it. It's a little bit unfair to judge just a part of something, but when it's being fed to you that way, how else are you going to judge it? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what else do I have to go on? I don't know what's going to happen in part 2, so how am I going to formulate my opinion of part 1 based on something I don't know? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I'm at a crossroads.
I do completely agree with a lot of the shit you're saying, but there's one thing I do want to talk about is Hulk. Honestly, I think that's one of my favorite parts of the movie is actually, again, they marketed that fucker in every damn trailer. Hulk running around and shit.
Even though he's really only in it for like 5 minutes.
It's a fucking lie. He gets treated like a bitch. You don't see him again other than when he's like, no!
Yeah.
But what I want from that, though, I was talking to you about it. I was talking to people earlier today about it. Is I want them, because there's a line where he's like, me and you need to work this shit out, basically. What I want from this is I want an incarnation, like, and for the first time in the cinematic universe at least, where it's Banner intelligence with the Hulk.
I can see that, because, you know, Hulk was starting to get a little more intelligent anyway. We saw it in Ragnarok. He talks and shit like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can see them, like, kind of like, I feel like they need to, like, Banner and the Hulk need to kind of come together, and it'll be like Banner in control. And I think it'd be some good shit, dude. Some real good shit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting setup things that happen, but again, you know, the movie's a bunch of setup.
That's the whole point of the movie, though. Like, that is, like, without a doubt, the whole point of the movie.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess I just wish that
it's not wrong to, like, want more out of that movie, but it's just that's what we got.
Yeah, I feel like I just got a really, like, overdone appetizer, and then, like, I feel like I'm still waiting like 2 hours for my entree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of, like, when we've been talking about this, like, movie for a little bit, just like without, like, before recording, and it's just I've agreed with basically everything you said. It's just I understand what that movie was trying to do, and I'm like I'm down with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it ultimately boils down to is, like, and I'm not saying that I'm not down with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like the movie. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, again, you can't criticize something without sounding like you're shitting on it. I'm not shitting on the movie. I liked it.
I know. I know you're not shitting on it. It's just like you have some gripes with it, and it's fine.
It's like a collection of, like, great little individual scenes that, again, it's a lot of fluff. I love the scene.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love the scene where Spider-Man was going through the different portals, the Doctor Strange portals, and, like, kicking Thanos and shit like that. Like, that was great.
Yeah, that was good shit. That was good shit.
You know, like,
there's a lot of like those moments. There's a lot of, like, good, like, those, like, interaction moments, like, in combat.
Yeah, like
you had well, I'm gonna call him by his new name, White Wolf, whatever.
Yeah.
Picking up Rocket and shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of great, like, stuff like that. You can tell that they had
Yeah.
fun putting stuff like that in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool to finally see Doctor Strange like in combat. You know,
And doing some real cool shit.
like when he was like when he like multiplied himself and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
so cool to finally see stuff like that on the big screen. You know what I mean? And like, just really, you know, really cool to see these heroes all together and see these actors all together. And it really is, it really is an impressive, you know, just technical powerhouse and a huge achievement for sure. You know, I don't want to take that away from it. You know, it is the most incredible, extraordinary fluff that is possible to exist.
God damn it.
You know what I mean? Like the phrase "all fluff and no substance," like it is just the most pristine fluff. You know?
That's the thing. It is definitely. I'll give you. It is just a spectacle, honestly.
Yeah.
And this is we're 30 minutes in. I don't think we haven't even touched on this fact. Is this movie is way funnier than it should be.
Oh yeah.
Like ending on such a dark tone.
Super duper funny. Yeah, hilarious.
Like it surprised me with how fucking funny it is.
Yeah.
Like honestly, Drax is like one of the best parts of that movie.
Some of the best Drax moments are in here. I giggled every time Thor called Rocket Rabbit.
That was good shit. It even during like the battle for Wakanda, you got like Thor and like Cap having like a little like interaction. He's like, I see you copied my beard.
Yeah, I was when Thor and again just cool things to see, like when Thor comes back down in the Battle of Wakanda. He's got Stormbreaker. He's
that right there. I was rock solid during that part.
Oh, he's finally got the cape back and everything like that. I'm like, hell yes. And I thought for a second, I think I told you this. I thought for a second they were gonna play that Led Zeppelin song that they like beat to death in Ragnarok.
Dude, I honestly wouldn't mind it.
I was like, they're gonna give it to us. They're gonna give it to us one more time. Oh fuck yes, this is the perfect time for it. And they didn't, but yeah, and yeah, like it was so cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be honest, like the scene with you know Vision and Scarlet Witch kind of holding off the you know the Black Order or whatever. I think that's what they're called. And then Cap like kind of comes in out of the shadows. Like I got a little choked up like seeing Cap. And
yeah, it was good shit.
And
can I say this? Am I the only one that thought Vision got nerfed like a motherfucker?
yeah, he totally did because he's way more powerful. They totally made him out to be like kind of a bitch in this movie. He was kind of getting his ass kicked left and right.
And the thing is, the Black Order kind of bitches too, honestly.
You know what's funny is yeah they are. What's hilarious is like the scene where like Vision and Scarlet Witch are kind of like outside that kind of train station, stuff like that, and it's almost shot like a romantic movie. Like it's really close up shots of their faces back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then just in mid sentence, Vision just gets stabbed from behind. Like,
yep.
I'm not gonna lie, like that kind of got like a gasp out of me. I was like, oh fuck, you know, like that kind of got like that actually took me off guard, you know.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, okay, that happened.
And I'll say this: the movie has a really good sense of tension. Where I get the same feeling watching this movie that I do watching Game of Thrones, where like nobody is safe, you know.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
And they set that up from the very beginning when Loki's killed, you know. Like
yeah, that was.
And that's a death that I don't think they're gonna go back on.
See, that's the thing. I was talking about this. I think. I mean, me and you talked about it as well. As pre-snap. I think they're dead.
Yeah, I think everything that happens pre-snap. You know, basically Loki, Heimdall, Gamora. I think and Collector.
But here's the thing. The thing with Gamora though is there's a chance because there's a scene. It's a scene that bothers me. It's not bothers is the wrong word, but. This where like Thanos is kind of talking to her in like this like vision sort of thing.
Right. There's a rumor that the kind of theory is that she's actually in the Soul Stone now.
Yes. That's the deal.
Yeah,
So
I don't
there's a
like that.
possibility she might be able to come back, but like everybody else, I think is still fucked.
Well, again though, that totally diminishes the weight of that choice if that's true.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true.
like
It's
that
very true.
scene, with Gamora where like she's laughing and she's like, "Oh, joke's on you," basically. You like,
That's yeah, and it's just you had Red Skull in there. Those tears aren't for him.
yeah, and she's kind of like, "Joke's on you," basically. Thanos
That's
doesn't love anything, and then it turns out no,
yeah,
he actually does. He legitimately does love
See,
Gamora. You know,
yeah. It's like, my God, Thanos is so fucking good in this movie.
and like he throws her down and everything, and like if it turns out that she is just, oh, that I'm just trapped in the Soul Stone, and she ends up coming back, that completely removes, and that again, that just,
Everything about that scene, because that scene is like that is one of the better scenes in the movie, honestly.
and you're taking impactful scenes. If they come in, they're already gonna reverse. Like there's an impactful scene when Spider-Man fades to dust and Tony's holding him, and he's basically the father figure, and he's fading
Yeah, that
away.
scene was again that whole scene was like intended to like try to like get somebody between the ribs, basically.
Yeah, that was
'Cause
totally.
it was just like
I mean, heartbreaking. And Tom Holland is just selling it. And like, I saw somebody post something that was totally accurate. It's like that feel when you know that he felt it with spider sense before it was happening.
ooh, yeah. I saw that post actually.
And it's like, it's really, really sad and heartbreaking. But again, it's going to be diminished by the end of the second one. And then if I actually will be, we'll come back doing another shots in a year. And I'm telling you, I'll be livid
Right.
if they go back on the Gamora thing. I'm telling you,
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I think they might. That's the thing, man.
I really hope they don't, because that really diminishes one of, if not the best scene
'Cause-
in the movie.
Because here's the thing. The thing with if Gamora stays dead, I like that because that's going to be real good character development for Peter Quill.
No, keep everybody pre-snap. I say has to stay dead.
Because I think that's good character. That'll be good character development for everyone. That if they continue on in the cinematic universe, like that shit's gonna be good for fucking Star-Lord, Peter Quill. Shit's Loki and Heimdall. That shit gonna fuck Thor up.
Yeah, let them
Shit.
live with
half
the weight.
half of the like shit. How many who's left of Asgard at this point?
That's another good question, because they did say that half of the Asgardians. They didn't say all. They said half of the Asgardians were killed. So a lot of people are like, they better not have killed Valkyrie.
I doubt they killed Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie was too popular of a character.
Yeah, so I mean, look, we're in an interesting place, and I really think that they're gonna have a challenge. I really think that they've set themselves up to potentially do some ballsy stuff, and to potentially like, because I mean, you think about it, think of the flip side of the coin. Like there's basically no way they actually killed off all these characters, but what if they did? What if part 2 comes out and all those people actually are dead? What if they actually did kill off these characters, and at that point, Homecoming 2 is Miles Morales and Black Panther 2 is Shuri. You know what I mean? Like,
It'd be ballsy as shit.
I would respect the absolute shit out of that, and I would take back every complaint at that point, because
I think it's too ballsy though. I think
It
it's
is.
way too ballsy even. Yeah.
it is. But I'm telling you, I
Oh,
salivate.
I would respect the living shit out of it. It'd be like, I'd be like, damn, really?
I salivate at the idea of Marvel having the balls to do that.
Now, I enjoy Tom Holland too much to get Miles Morales in.
I just, it's not gonna happen. But fuck, that would be cool.
No, it ain't gonna happen. But
I don't know. There's much more we could say about this, but I feel like we should kind of wrap it up after 40 minutes of talking about it.
yeah, right.
I do think, ultimately, I like the movie. I definitely want to see it again. I think Dan and I are probably going to end up watching it again when I go down there for his graduation. So I'm going to,
Okay.
going to end up watching it again, I'm sure, in theaters.
Oh, yeah. Before we close up, I'm gonna tell you. I was talking to Tyler about he doesn't think Loki's dead. He thinks Loki was too smart to do that dumb shit.
I don't like that, because
He's not. But here's the thing. I'm like, I know. I think he's dead, bro. Because it's just like, I think it was just like in one of those like, it's either like, it was like a a YOLO situation type shit.
I don't think it was even a YOLO situation. I think it was like a you know what? It's time to pay the piper. It's finally time to face the consequences of my actions.
And I think to a certain extent, Loki had Loki brought that shit on that ship because he had the fucking Tesseract.
Well, yeah, he had the Tesseract, but B, you have to think about it. Not only has he failed as a person just because of the despicable shit that he's done, but like in the first Avengers movie, he is a servant of Thanos. You know.
Yep.
And Thanos kills him because he failed at doing his job. You know.
Yep.
And like. And that can't be lost on people. I think people forget that when they look at that and they think of Loki's character arc. Because, like, and I do like how, at the end of it all, he claims himself as Odin's son, you know?
Yep.
And...
Again, there's just those really good... Like, there was even moments like that with, even when, like, in Thor Ragnarok, when Odin still, like, called him his son and shit. And there was, like, that look that Loki gave, like, oh shit, basically.
Yeah, and I just think that I think that Loki knew in that moment that, like, okay, this is big and this is it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's not stupid.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. Like, it's just like, because the whole thing is like, I understand if people want Loki to be alive, but I think it's such a more powerful statement for him to actually just die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, like you were saying, like Tyler was saying or whatever, he's too smart to get killed like that. I think he is smart enough to realize that he was gonna die, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think he was smart enough to realize that there was no turning back from this, you know? So, anyway, there's a lot to unpack, you know. I'm sure we could talk about this movie for another hour, But I think we should.
Oh, we definitely could. There's still like way more we could talk about with just like the specific scenes and shit. But I kind of got what I wanted to get out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got our generalized thoughts out. I think we've accurately reviewed the movie. So, and it's something we may touch on again, you know, in the main show or something like that. I could see us talking about it, and of course we'll double back when when part 2 comes out. I'm sure we'll have like I said, I know my thoughts on this movie are going to change when the sequel comes out. So I want to talk about Infinity War as a sum of its parts when both parts are actually presented to me. So anyway, Infinity War, it's good. It's Marvel. You got anything else you want to add, Todd?
Kick ass.
Bye.
See ya.